In a bright forest, full of tall trees and glowing sunlight, lived a little ant with her family deep beneath the ground. From a young age, she was known as one of the smartest and hardest-working ants in the colony. She woke early. She carried more than her share. She never complained. But as time passed, something inside her heart quietly shifted. Every day, she saw the peacock dancing proudly across the forest floor. His feathers shone like they were made of jewels. And she would think, "Everyone sees him. Why does no one see me?" Then she would watch the butterfly float freely through the air and whisper, "I wish I could fly, even just once." And whenever the squirrel jumped easily from branch to branch, she felt a sting in her heart. "Why am I stuck down here, crawling? Why wasn't I born special?" Slowly, her joy faded. The ant, who once worked with purpose, now moved with heaviness. She gathered food slower. She spoke less and smiled almost never. Other ants noticed. "Are you all right?" they asked. She nodded quietly, but inside she wasn't. Then one afternoon, the sky darkened. Rain poured harder than anyone had seen before. Wind smashed into trees. Thunder shook the earth. The forest that once sparkled with life turned into a place of fear. The butterfly tried to fly, but her wings were soaked. The squirrel lost his tree and stood cold and shivering. The peacock's colorful feathers drooped heavy with mud. Everything powerful became powerless. All except one place. Deep underground, the ants were safe. Their tunnels held strong against the storm. The little ant stood at the entrance, watching the forest collapse. And suddenly, her jealousy disappeared. In its place, pain. She saw others hurting and whispered, "I was so focused on what I didn't have, I forgot what I do have." Then she did something brave. She ran back to her colony and said, "We can't hide while they suffer. We have to help." The ants hesitated. "They're bigger than us. They're stronger than us." But she replied, "They also need us." So together they marched out, tiny bodies with fearless hearts. They carried the butterfly piece by piece to dry ground. They gathered leaves and built warmth around the squirrel. They gently cleaned the peacock's feathers until he lifted his head again. The animals watched in amazement. How can something so small do something so big? Then the rain stopped, and the sun returned, soft and golden. The butterfly fluttered her wings again. The squirrel stood strong. The peacock shined once more. But now they looked at the ant differently. The peacock bowed low and said, "Today I saw true beauty." The squirrel smiled and whispered, "Today I learned real strength isn't in how high you climb, but in who you lift." The butterfly touched the ant gently and said, "You may be small, but you saved us all." And the little ant? For the first time in her life, she believed in herself. She no longer needed wings. She no longer needed applause. She no longer needed comparison. She had purpose. From that day on, she walked taller, even though she stayed small. Message to the viewer. If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever thought you were not enough, if you've ever wished you were someone else, this story is for you. You don't have to be louder. You don't have to be bigger. You don't have to be famous. You just have to be you. Because sometimes the smallest hands hold the biggest power. If this story touched your heart, tap the like button. Share it with someone who needs the reminder. And tell us in the comments, where are you watching from?